John Morgan's back on the top 5, guys.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Good to be back.
Welcome to the Super Awesome Comic Review Show. I am Foxy. This is John Morgan. We are wearing matching shirts. This week, we've got a lot of good books. The top 5 was spilling over with good books.
I don't know if it was spilling over necessarily.
No, it was.
It was kind of like, there was like a good heavy chunk of goodness, and then...
Like, up front, there's a lot.
Up front is really powerful.
And then it displaced a lot of things that were tying each other, and, there's a lot going on here, that's all I'm saying.
No, absolutely true. That's very true.
There's so much going on here that our top 5 is going to break some rules. We're going to have a spotlight section, and there's going to be a spirited discussion before the top 5. So, let's get right to the spirited discussion. Let's talk about Captain America White.
Captain America White is the new Loeb Sale book. It is
the least appropriately titled book for what's going on in social media and general cultural awareness.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, during the time where they have Black Lives Matter kind of constantly going through the social networks, they came out with Captain America White. And I know they've already done Spider-Man Blue, but would Captain America Red have really been such a bad idea? I think it would have been okay.
I feel like there's at least some colors that have not been used.
There's some other colors.
I don't know how important white is to Captain America's story. It sounds racially tone deaf.
It does a little bit, like there's a lot of that kind of, like, it seems like there's like a lack of sensitivity there.
I think more than sensitivity, it's a lack of awareness, honestly.
No, I think you're probably right.
Anyway, title aside. Let's talk about the content of the book.
So, when Brubaker was doing Captain America, and I think he's done probably the best Captain America in a very long time, he made a point of pushing the age of Bucky forward, to the point where Bucky was only like maybe a year or a couple of years younger than Cap was, and it was just the super serum that was really making him look older. He wasn't really that much younger. They were still kind of peers. Loeb is putting Bucky back where he was in the 40s. He's making him a much younger guy by like 5 or 6 years.
The boy companion.
The boy companion of Steve Rogers. And what they're going for here is kind of a sense from what Foxy was telling me earlier, was that Loeb has unfortunately lost his son and is trying to make a tale about that loss.
That's the thing, though. I don't know that he's trying. I think that most of his stories since he lost his son have been about his loss of his son.
Whether intentionally or unintentional. But like at the very least, like in this case, it's weird to me not knowing that initially, because I'll be honest, it read kind of like slash fiction. There were a lot of really kind of tense moments where they were facing off, where I was beginning to wonder, are they going to make out or not?
It looks exactly like the moment before two dudes would kiss in a slash fic,
and
which again is fine. Like, this isn't about
there's nothing wrong with it.
Orientation or...
Right.
I mean, child molestation, not so good. I'm pretty sure Bucky's underage in this story.
Probably. But, like, at the very least... And, like, really the whole idea of him leading him to danger seems much worse than if he was, like, a year younger.
You will have, at this point, seen images that we're referring to of these longing gazes, of what appears to be the moment before a kiss, and it really, really does. And also there's... then when we were looking for it, there were just a couple of other things that were visual gags that played into that. Let's just say.
They do, in fact, go to the movie Buck Privates, which seems unfortunate in this case.
It does seem to play into your theory, though, again, I think it was unintentional.
Probably. But if there are any shoujo manga readers out there, I think you'll see it.
And I think you'll enjoy this book very much.
Totally.
Bottom line, there's a lot of awkwardness that surrounds this book. I hope it does well. I would love for Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale to do more work together. I hope that it will have more cultural awareness in titling. And I hope it's a story that doesn't revolve around fathers and sons.
A little bit. Maybe move on to something else. For the time being.
And love you, man. Love you, Jeff.
Sorry, Jeff. Moving on to the top 5.
Coming in at, I don't know if we've ever done this. We've talked about doing this. I don't know if we've done this. Coming in at number 5 are 2 books that tied.
Joint top 5.
Coming in at the first of the number 5s is Star Wars issue number 9. And you said it yourself. It's good. It's just clearly a chapter within a story.
It's clearly a chapter in a trade. It was obviously like in a trade form. It's probably going to be a very good portion of the storyline. It does not feel very complete.
It does not stand alone strongly, but it was an exciting chapter for those of us that are caught up, unlike John here.
But I mean, like on the positive side, Stuart Immonen is amazing.
Fantastic. He made me find a Huttese man attractive. His biceps are rippling.
No, totally. Obviously, Jabba the Hutt is a piece of shit because he is like there's this hugely buff Hutt that we finally get to meet, who's obviously been going to.
He's very mobile.
Very mobile.
He's got like a lot of stuff going on technology-wise, but he also
I think he's got like an 8-pack. He's incredible.
He's really strong. He's handsome. He's a handsome Hutt.
He's a good-looking Hutt, and everybody likes a good-looking Hutt. Now the other sort of joint top 5 to sharing the spotlight of the 5.
Yeah, the co-fifth.
The co-fifth is Tokyo Ghost.
Issue number 1, a new sci-fi original from Rick Remender. Or Remender.
Remender?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know the guy.
Somebody called Dave Jordan. In this case, and Rick Remender has been really like working with outstanding artists. In this case, it's Sean Murphy. And Sean Murphy looks amazing. He's still looking very manga-esque, but tighter in terms of storytelling than most manga is. There are some problems, though, I had with it.
Up front, let's just say, in a nutshell, it's Judge Dredd meets Mad Max with a little dash of Tank Girl.
And a little bit of, like, William Gibson thrown in for, like, that kind of, like, sort of, like, cyberpunk sort of feel to it.
Totally.
But that being...
And all of those things are fantastic.
Those are all good things. Everyone likes those things. But that being said, it's far too caption-heavy by 1,000. It really... There is more than enough going on in the story, in the book itself, that it does not constantly need the girl's voice constantly pelting you with fairly didactic thoughts or sort of didactic ideas of what technology is. It has an old man crankiness to the science fiction. The idea that human beings are constantly sort of being pelted by essentially an internet that's been implanted in their brain and being manipulated through that and being addicted to that.
I did think it was cool that I read 2 books back to back that displayed this same concept. I thought they both displayed it well. I thought Tokyo Ghost did a good job in showing how that happens. I agree that it was a little
heavy-handed.
I think it works for this story to take it the route that it did.
Yeah.
Like, I think in the long run it will probably be really cool.
But
in this first issue it was very like hand-holdy.
Yeah, totally. And I think like in the case of the like the last page really does bring in the heartbreak of that addiction to the internet in a way I haven't seen before. And so for that, I consider that a positive, and there's a reason it's on the top 5.
It was a very interesting, like, I'm very interested in this character.
Right.
I do think that there was way too much inner monologue.
Yeah, way too much inner monologue.
But, you know...
And it almost felt like a one-off, didn't it? Like, if someone had told me...
Yeah, it felt like a one-shot. It felt like
this was like a short story, then I would have
Exactly.
absolutely believed it.
But yeah, as the beginning of an ongoing episodic thing, I think it was a little too one and done. It was a little too complete.
I didn't necessarily feel like, well, I have to read the next.
Yeah, what happens next? It was
What
like,
happens in
well,
the next
that was
issue?
the end of her entire character arc because she wants something that she can't have the end.
Boom, ta-da.
But hey, you know, maybe I look forward to the next issue. I'm gonna read this whole series.
I love Sean Murphy.
As long as, Sean Murphy co-creating sci-fi.
Yeah.
Based on all, and it's like clear homages to all of these things that we mentioned. Like,
Yeah.
There's no way that they weren't thinking about those things. I think they might even mention those by name in the back pages.
They do, actually. I think they do mention, like, Judge Dredd, Mad Max, all of those guys.
I don't know if Tank Girl got mentioned, but basically the Tank Girl thing for me was like...
well, she feels very Tank Girl.
She feels like Tank Girl, and also
her little, like,
her
guy.
lover man feels like Booga to me.
Yeah, it does feel like
in
Booga.
physicality, and in that he's like a monster.
And kind of dim, like in comparison to her.
Totally, like she's in charge.
Yeah, totally. All right, moving on.
Coming in at number 4, we've got Dave 2, issue number 1. And
I caught up on Dave today. Foxy gave me the trade, so I went through sort of the first arc. I was surprised that they managed to pull off a 2, to be honest. That first trade, if you get it,
it's pretty complete.
Very complete. It feels like a movie. I mean, like, it has, like, the arc of a movie.
In Dave 1,
yeah, Dave
like,
1.
It's basically the Animatrix or any
I think
AI.
Like, imagine Terminator. Once the Terminators have destroyed all of the humans on Earth, that they basically begin to turn into human beings.
They create dented jobs for themselves. They create mundane existences that are hateful.
They become conquerors who turn themselves into nebbishes. And it's actually really a fun idea that, like, they go from being these towering, bloodthirsty conquerors to schlubs.
But then, Dave
Right.
previously had been this masterful warrior, and then there was no need for warriors, so he was into Dead End Job. And then a need arises for a warrior. An alien invasion comes.
And Dave comes through. He defeats the oncoming horde. Not too spoilery. I mean,
No,
basic.
it's the basic story,
It's a
and he
basic
goes through
storyline.
his basic heroic arc, and
Yeah. And he
at
comes
end of
out the other
day,
side.
He's grown. He's developed as a character. But where do you go from there? Once you've had your heroic arc and you're there, you made it.
Yeah.
Now they're exploring, what's the world like now? What's Dave's world like now? And they're actually able to explore new
I
territory.
actually thought
with
they did
Dave.
a really good job picking up where they left off. Because Dave, he's sort of like a little more heroic. He still very much has schlubby moments when he's not being heroic. His home life is still a mess.
But now he's got status.
He's got a little more status.
He's got a little bit more, maybe he's a little bit more attractive to,
to coworkers than he was before previously.
And then now they're getting into a little bit of they might be exploring robosexuality and
I think
gender,
they are
perhaps,
exploring like
in
a
a
little
way
bit of
that they
gender and
didn't.
robosexuality that I was not expecting. That was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, definitely, because I look forward to it. That's all I can say is I look forward to seeing what
I'll be
more
honest,
they explore.
I was actually, I came into the Dave 2 thinking kind of like, I don't really see how this is going to work. And toward the end, I was kind of curious what happens next. The last panel on the last page definitely points to some interesting directions.
Definitely.
So check it out. You should check out Dave 1 and check out Dave 2.
Coming in at number 3,
3.
Manifest Destiny,
Oh,
issue
yeah.
number 17.
Number 17. This is actually the first one I've ever read by Manifest Destiny. I have seen it on the shelves before, and to be honest, my first thought was, what do I need a second-rate Tony Moore for?
Turns out you were wrong.
I was dead wrong, actually. I apparently need one. Foxy had been attempting to sell me Manifest Destiny for a long time. I was not having it because I was like, I have Six Gun, I have Tony Moore, I think I'm fine. But very different creature. I like a lot of the sort of human interactions. I like the magic of the world actually a little more than Six Gun. Like it feels more unique. It feels a little more Jim Henson to me. Like in terms of like.
Especially the Fezron. Those are my boys. Those are my boys. John, what you don't know about the Fezron is they pee on things in some issues, and they're total jerks at all times. I don't know if that came through with just that one character, but his whole race, they're my boys.
And like, and actually, pretty much every character I saw, I was like, I could easily imagine Henson Works making this work.
And please do it! Oh my gosh!
Do it, Henson
Please
Works.
make
Get on that.
Please
My
make this a
God,
live
man.
action show.
This is a wild
Practical
opportunity
effects.
on your effect.
Oh yeah.
Oh, anyway, so like, actually, I really enjoyed it. I actually, I'm going to be getting the other trades now. So I say pick up Manifest Destiny. I think it's worth your time.
Unfortunately, the Fezron don't show up until the third, fourth arc. You gotta wait.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You can wait it out, people.
Yeah.
I assure you.
And there's other cool stuff before them, but they're
Right.
really the apex. I hope the book just completely shifts focus away from Lewis and Clark and
Just like
Sacagawea.
100% Bezron.
Yeah, just all Fezron all the
Fezron
time.
all
I want a
the time.
Fezron side series.
I think
Please.
that seems like a good idea to me.
All right.
All right,
Anyway,
moving on to number 2. This actually, I'll be honest, Foxy and I wrestled over which should be number 1. This was probably closer to my number 1.
and then I said, "Whose show is it?
Whose show is this?
That's
and
right.
he totally brought the fucking hammer down.
Who's the boss? Tony Danza. That's right.
And Bruce Springsteen.
That guy too."
Bruce Springsteen.
So Boss Applesauce said, coming in at number 2 is the Island number 3.
And Island is amazing. It is Brandon Graham and Emma Rios' brainchild. It is, for me right now, one of the best things on the shelf. All of the people who show up in number 3, I have never heard of before.
Oh, you've never read any Malachi Ward before?
No, I've never read any Malachi Ward before, and I thought his piece was amazing. And actually,
Yeah, and he only drew his piece, and only is not a good word there.
Only is
because
not a
he
good word. It's
drew
really
an amazing
gorgeous.
story. It's one of his best works so far. But I will say, Malachi Ward has a ton of books that he wrote and drew,
Yeah.
and they're fantastic. And they're all like he's self-made, like DIY mini comics you can buy.
Sure.
They've got them at Secret Headquarters in Los Angeles.
Oh,
Love
great.
that shop. That's where I found Malachi Ward for the first time because I bought some of his mini comics there.
And there's a guy that sort of opens the piece who looks a little bit like DeForge, but is a little more geometric.
Oh yeah,
Like
I got a strong DeForge from that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a piece after the Malachi piece. And actually, if we can talk about the Malachi piece, that was actually what I was talking about when I was talking about the idea of a society that were basically the internet.
Yeah.
The ever-present social media is constantly being shipped into your head. In his case, he takes a very balanced view of it. Like he is showing kind of like Facebook or something like that there are positives as well as negatives.
Yeah, he actually had characters arguing on both sides of the divide.
Yeah,
and
totally.
it wasn't like And it wasn't didactic.
It wasn't didactic
conversational.
at all. It was just conversational. It felt
and
real.
one of the characters was felt very passionately about it one way.
Well, and he felt threatened by it. He was kind of like, hey, like, there's a lot of things that are being controlled that are, like, important to my health. If you take this away from me,
yeah,
I'm
I've
going
got
to be harmed
apps that
by
are controlling things in my biorhythms.
Right, exactly. And I thought that was really interesting, as opposed to the idea that it's just an enslaving element in your life. There's actually far more depth and sort of to the world. So I'm super excited about that.
Island is such an amazing series. I'm really, really happy that, for one, that it's coming out at all.
Right.
For two, that it's coming out so
quickly.
regularly.
It's coming out really, like,
I feel like the gap between
schedule.
2 and 3 was like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I feel that too.
I don't know if that's true, but
Is that
that's how it
intentional?
felt.
Like, I feel like it's on like a tri-weekly basis for some reason. The weirdest thing about it, though, is how the stories get dropped and picked up.
Some of the stories continue in the very next issue. Some of them, it's going to be a 2 or 3 issue gap before the next chapter in that story.
Which is okay, because Brandon Graham apparently has an indefinite number of geniuses in his back room that he gets to pull from at any time.
Yeah, it's working out.
I'm not worried about it, but it's weird. I've never seen any anthology series that's ever done it in that way, where they're not completing stories, but they're letting them drop for issues.
Unusual, hard to stock for a retailer, but as a reader, I don't mind it.
No, as a reader, I'm pretty much, I trust in Brandon Graham, so I'm in.
Let us move on.
Let us move
to
on
the true number 1 of the week.
Number 1, according to you.
The true number 1 of the week, John Morgan. No,
I'll be honest. I missed the Sex Criminals trade number 2.
This is purely objective, and you're just behind. Yeah, that's it. You're not caught up.
It's not the first time.
But even having not caught up, you would have made this number 2, which says a lot.
Fair enough.
And so, coming in at number 1, Sex Criminals, issue number 12, the second issue of the third arc. And it just starts off with a bang, man. Like,
bang after bang after bang, my friend.
And at first I was like, wow, are they... It seems like they're shying away from showing the John's penis. Like, oh, man, there's no penis.
Not my particular penis. Anyone can apply if you want.
Not this John's penis, but man, they weren't showing that other John's penis.
For a bit, and we all thought, are they going to be subtle this time?
No.
Lord, no.
There are so many penises in this issue.
So many penises.
Don't worry, the penis count is high.
Do you have a dearth of penises in your life?
This is what you need.
Because,
this is the cure.
my lord, please pick up this issue.
But beyond penis content...
Heavy penis content.
Heavy penis content. Heavy sci-fi element content.
Heavy satirical content.
Heavy satirical content. And then... Matt Fraction is a brilliant writer, and he has every one of these insane action scenes balanced against
really
pieces.
This very sort of humanitarian view of sex, and this very gentle and very expansive view of humanity, and how sex is not just like this one porny thing. It's something that evolves constantly as people grow.
And then the concept of they get into the concept of what the word origin of normal is.
Yeah, totally.
And then
abnormal.
And abnormal, and what the othering is, and what the word origins elucidate so much about the homogenous nature of culture and how...
And I know what you're thinking, like, oh my God, I'll take a women's studies case, class, don't bother me. No, fuck off. The fact of the matter is that is all interspaced with this hysterical, sex monster chase scene, which is like nothing you're going to see this
You've never seen anything like it, guaranteed.
You've never seen children, anything like this. It's just so much fun.
This ain't your grandmama's monster.
This isn't your grandma's.
No way.
Sex.
Your mama's tentacle sex monster was nothing like this.
And I know your mama was banging Cronenberg, so that's weird. But
that's saying something.
Totally saying something. But anyway, it's so worth it. It's worth your time. Pick up 1 and 2 volumes. Pick up this volume. Fraction killing it.
Chip Zdarsky killing it. Everybody's killing it. And it's just...
And it does have a really funny essay in the back about...
creating the sketch covers from last issue.
Yeah, exactly. About this sort of ploy they had to make kind of a fun, sort of something for the collectors out there, and basically destroyed a lot of lives. Which they totally found.
Including their own. Turns out they were going to do something fun that made everybody's lives horrible.
Everybody super horrible. And then they totally cop to it, and it's super funny.
Yeah, they're such sweethearts, and they're making the best comic out there. This is hands down the most bang for your buck this week. Hands down. Hands down. And really, it is doing good work for society. I feel like If everybody read
that was actually
Sex Criminals,
that was his argument to me. It was
that
like,
was why it has to be number 1.
It's like he's like, yeah, that like Island is a very good comic. He says, but the fact of the matter is Sex Criminals is improving humanity. So fuck right off, John Morgan.
That's
and
right.
You know what? It's a good argument.
Sex Criminals is importante.
Important.
So, that's it for the top 5, but that is not it for this episode, which is going to be like 3 hours long, because coming right up now, you may have heard a voice from off camera. It's not OVC3, it's not OVC1, it's not OVC2. It's one of my puppet compatriots from Hands of Enchantment Puppet Troupe. Represent. We're going to be doing the Noir Spotlight on another couple of
you actually have a show
things.
coming up in town, aren't you?
Yeah, Albuquerque, come out to the Tan-X on Saturday.
Boom. Go support the Tan-X, go support them.
Here we go to the Noir Comics Spotlight with Johnny.
Johnny, take it away.
Hello, I'm Johnny, Noir correspondent, here on the filthy streets of love.
I asked you here because I know you're all caught up on the Fade Out, and Volume 2 trade paperback came out today, as well as Issue 9, right?
That's correct. These issues slowly tie together the fates of our aptly named protagonist, Charlie Parrish, and his blacklisted writing partner, Gil Mason, during the McCarthy 50s and 60s, as they drink and descend further into the booze hole that is Tinseltown, Hollywood. That dream factory full of movies, but that's a facade, that's a rock. When you pull up the rock, there's a bunch of maggots underneath. That this series spotlights beautifully the degradation, the inhumanity, and yet spotlighting glimmers of humanity, of people binding together to try and survive, protect their own humanity. Rich, crazy studio heads taking advantage of everyone. How all things that are idealistic and beautiful in the beginning become sordid and unmanageable towards the end. They clearly did their homework, looking at the architecture of Hollywood and spotlighting places like Ciro's, which later become the Comedy Store, vortexes of energy and dark magic that should never have been inhabited by humans. I hope you enjoy it for what it's worth, if you can. This life, you get the filth of the streets out of your nostrils, learn about something. Maybe you don't, maybe you do. What's the difference? This is one puppet's opinion. Signing out.
This was quite a week.
Yeah, it was. It was a great week for comics.
I would never sleep if you guys were always on the show.
I just want to make sure you have a lot to work with, as far as like, just your bleeping machine and all the rest.
Absolutely. I didn't bleep any of that stuff, because I'm just going to let John be John.
It's just who I
I'm not going to other you.
You can't other me.
You be you,
I
John.
am not abnormal.
You're not abnormal. You're yourself, and that's okay by me, and I love
right.
you for it. And I love you for being on here. And also thanks to Johnny and Hands of Enchantment Puppet Troupe for doing the Noir Spotlight.
Thank you, Johnny, for bringing
that
Noir
was
to the masses.
fantastic and authentic. Let's just say that. Final words, Johnny?
Final words, Johnny. Get in there, Johnny. Johnny. You've lived a depressing life, Johnny, but you hit to tell us
I
about
got a lot to forget. What difference does it make?
I'll tell you what, it doesn't make any difference. Let's get out of here. Hey, be a feminist.